1894, this bridge opened. It's a bascule bridge, bascule French for seesaw, meaning the middle arms rise up to let tall ships past. In its heyday, they would have been opening 14 times a day. Now it's once or twice a week. If you would like to see Tower Bridge open, check their website. They give you a list of times and they can plan your visit accordingly. The bridge was designed by Horace Jones, helped along by John Wolfe Barry, son of the architect of the Houses of Parliament. It's mostly made up of steel and iron. All the stonework on it is just there to make it look pretty, to make it blend in with the Tower of London, which we're about to see on the right. It was originally chocolate brown in colour. It was repainted red, white and blue for the Queen's Silver Jubilee back in '77. Repainted last year for the Diamond Jubilee. So now the Tower of London on the right. The oldest part is the square right in the centre, and that was built for William the Conqueror, who invaded in 1066, over 900 years old. Then many monarchs have added to it ever since. However, it's most famous for being a prison. Take a look along the tide line. On the right, you see a bricked up entrance and some white writing above it. It says, "Entry to the Traitors' Gate." If you had been found guilty of treason at the Palace of Westminster, that is where you would have been taken through, escorted up to Tower Hill to have your head chopped off. First time round if you were lucky, second time round if you had not paid the axeman enough money. Once your head had been chopped off, it would be boiled, dipped in tar and left on a stake on London Bridge. Now that entrance was dubbed the first one-way street in London, because if you went through there, you did not come out alive. Tower of London has had many other uses. It has been a royal mint, a royal observatory, a gun arsenal, a zoo. Also now it's, for quite long, since the 1300s, it's looked after the crown jewels. Now these are guarded by the British Army and the beefeaters who live there. Now if you would like a guided tour by one of these beefeaters, I really do recommend it. You must get there before 2 o'clock. They will tell you about the 7 black ravens that live there. Now, these birds, they have their wings clipped, and that's to stop them flying away. Because if they do fly away, legend has it that the kingdom will fall. But don't worry, if any one of the birds ever did escape, we've got a spare flock. Tallest building in Western Europe, over to the left. It's over 300 metres tall. It's called the Shard, designed by Renzo Piano, Italian architect. Shangri-La Hotel is in there, 7 stars. Very nice. We come back to London Bridge. There's been a bridge on this part of the river since AD 64. Keep looking to the right, however, and coming up in the gap between the buildings, you'll see a very tall stone column with a golden orb on top. Now, this column is called Monument, and it is exactly 66 feet tall because it is that distance from the base of the column to where the baker's shop was on Pudding Lane, where the Great Fire of London started in 1666. You can climb 311 steps all the way to the top, and if you make it to the top, you get a certificate. And it was designed by Sir Christopher Wren. Now we are approaching Cannon Street Railway Bridge. And, well, my mum says, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. So there'll be a short pause here. I'll talk about the station though. You see there's plants on the top. That's a roof garden, the largest roof garden in London. There was once a glass domed roof on top there, but during the bullets they didn't want it to get destroyed, so they took it away and they stored it in a warehouse in the countryside. Ironically, the station got through the war pretty much unscathed. The warehouse where they kept the roof was bombed. Southwark Bridge, it's beautiful in front of us. There's no one on it though. Oh, 3 people. They say if you find yourself on it, you're probably lost. because there's no main roads that lead to it, and it used to be a toll bridge, making it very unpopular. Going back to the Globe Theatre on the left, season opened in April, it will run until October this year. Red flag is flying, that means there's a production on there today. The cheapest ticket, £5. Stood up in the yard, you're known as a groundling, you're right in the heart of the action, almost touching the actors. But if you look up, you see the sky, there's no roof above your heads, so if it rains, remember your rain jacket. Next door to it, I mentioned Sir Giles Gilbert Scott earlier, and he designed Bankside Power Station. This is it with a 325-foot chimney, now opened as the Tate Modern. It opened as the Tate Modern in the year 2000, just like this bridge opened in the year 2000. It was open for just a day and a half. They closed it down. Health and Safety came along and said no, because it was wobbling from side to side quite violently as people walked across it. And a journalist at the time asked the designer, Mr. Norman Foster, why does your bridge wobble? And he turned around and said, it's not my bridge. It's just the way people walk in London. I'm a Londoner. There ain't nothing wrong with the way I walk. Dearie me. They had to add springs to stop the wobble, and it opened a year and a half later. Now it's a beautiful crossing from the beauty St Paul's to the Beast, the Tate Modern. We return now to these red columns. Now, it was once very historic. The London Dover Chatham crossing into Blackfriars Station carried the first ever steam engine train across the Thames. However, then came along diesel trains, and they built two bridges next door to the old steam train crossing. So they decided they would get rid of it. However, they came across two problems. As you can see, they removed the tracks quite easily. But these columns are Victorian. They're incredibly well made. In order to take them down, you would have to use explosives. That would do severe structural damage, I think, to the two bridges on either side. And plus, those columns actually make up part of the foundations of the two bridges on either side of the riverbed. So, all in all, a very bad idea. So they just decided to leave them.